we're so caught up in these first impressions with other people. And that's fair. It's important. We are always going to have a first impression. But how often are we talking about the type of first impression we have with ourselves? And I feel like that's really important because we don't really think about that for ourselves. I know through this process of my personal journey, I've changed so much that I feel like I'm pretty consistently having a new first impression with myself. Taking that time to understand who I am, why I am, what I'm doing, and how I feel connected. And I feel like I get to kind of re-meet myself at a different capacity, at the next level. And so in order to have a really quality first impression with someone else, it's, I feel, imperative to have a quality impression with yourself, to have that understanding and that authentic connection with who you are, because then you're going into it not from, oh my gosh, what are they going to think of me? Are they going to like me? Are they not going to like me? Is, all these things that we got caught up, and then we attempt to put on and most of the time it's an unconscious facade.
Right.
Where we're so worried about projecting who we think that person would want us to be.
Yeah.
When they may actually just truly love us, the greatest love they could experience is who we already are. But if we don't allow ourselves to show that, then honestly, we're doing a disservice. Not from a place of ego, but because each one of us deserves that light, deserves that shine to be seen. And so I think that's where us really honing in on silencing our inner critic, allowing us to be our authentic selves. But first and foremost, being willing to meet ourselves with who we are and have that inner confidence and authenticity can then allow us to express that when we are having a first meet or meeting someone for the first time, first impression.
Yeah. And did you know, scientifically, we make our first impression within 3 seconds.
Wow.
So it's not even about what you say.
Yeah.
Here we all are. It's like, oh, am I going to say the right thing? Am I going to appear dumb if I don't say what they want me to say? But you know what? They're not even listening to the words that are coming out of your mouth. They're not, because eventually they are.
Yeah.
But what they've shown through measurement and study is that it has so much more to do with your presence, with your nonverbals, than it does anything you say. And it takes far longer to change a first impression than it does to make your first impression, right? And so if all it takes is 3 seconds to make a first impression, and it takes days to undo that first impression, then how important is it to let go of that inner voice that has you second guessing? What am I going to say? What are they going to think of me? Because in all honesty, after that first impression, most people aren't even thinking about you at all. They have an impression of you, and it's an impression, not a knowing, not a familiarization, but an impression, which can be morphed and can be changed. It takes time, but it can be morphed and it can be changed. And so a lot of times I'll even say, you know what, if someone ran into me in the grocery store when I had just finished working on the house, wasn't showered, wasn't my best, and the impression I left them with was not an accurate impression of me, you know what, that's okay. Because in all honesty, if it's somebody that I desire to spend my time with, which is very important to me. Time is the one commodity in this world that I have a finite amount of. Everything else I can make more of, more than likely. Time? If I'm going to gift you my time, then I am gifting you the most valuable resource I have in this lifetime. And so if I'm going to choose to spend my time with that person I met in the grocery store again, then I'm willing to invest my time to allow them to get to know me and become familiar with me and shift that first impression, right? But if I'm going to an event and I know that I have an opportunity to create and direct that first impression, then I will invest my time in doing that in a way that I desire to direct. And then I get to say, I know what it takes to build the type of first impression I desire. People create first impressions from smell. Think about all of your senses, right? That's where people create their first impressions from. It's all of our senses. It has very little to do with the words that we say. It has a lot to do with our senses.
Yeah.
And a lot of that comes from the energy that we project. And so if our inner critic is already running as we're getting ready for something, then we're already taking all of that and pulling the rug out from underneath of ourselves. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. People are not going to like me there. Why am I even going? Well, you're not then putting your best foot forward before you even walk through that door.